So we are very happy to have with us today also a second representative from Visit Sweden. He's Mikael Persson Gripkow. He's the brand director for Visit Sweden. So for the whole thing. Responsible for global communications development and media strategies for the brand Sweden. He initiates and leads global projects. Before, he has led global marketing for international Swedish brands like Absolut Vodka, Volvo Cars, and Scandinavian Airlines. He specialized in driving change that create business value through strategic and tactic marketing and brand initiatives. Now I have the chance to ask you in person, if you had a day with joulupukki, so the real Santa Claus in Stockholm, where would you take him?
Well, I think I would take him on a wild ride, but the first thing I would put him on the tramway to go to Skansen and collect some reindeers, so that he would feel really calm when traveling around Stockholm. Then I would take him to the activity where things are happening, to the blocks where creativity is bubbling. That is in Aspudden, in Sofo, and in other areas where the creative Stockholm is happening when it comes to design, when it comes to fashion, and when it comes to music.
Good answer, thank you. Now we'll ask Petteri, Eva to join us on the sofa, or Pauli and Mikael and Petri as well on stage. So we're going to have the first panel on the theme of design and branding in Sweden and Finland. Good luck to you all.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hopefully you guys can see us from the back sitting. I had a couple of questions that we wanted to have a discussion around. And my first question is that everybody looks into Sweden as being trendy. So where do you guys look in Sweden for inspiration? Do you look into the heart of the Swede, or do you look abroad? Like where do the different creative and branding related ideas in Sweden come from? Who do you copy?
I think that is what we are very much about nowadays. We travel around in the world, and some say that in Finland you take form seriously, but in Sweden we are like, where's the wind blowing now?
Where's it blowing from right now?
Well, it's from everywhere. I think it is any culture. We are in all the world digitally. We travel a lot.
Oh, that doesn't help us look there. So this is the next answer.
I think Asia is really leading the way when it comes to creativity and with the younger population. Yeah. But also I think creativity comes from your target group. You have to look into your target group and see how they would react to messages.
Yeah, okay, good. Asia specifically where? Can you name maybe 2 places?
Well, I think China is really booming.
It's a big country. Where in China?
Yeah, well, I think Shanghai.
Shanghai, okay. Shanghai I can do with.
Yep.
Okay. So the second question for the Swedes. So what do you think are your best marketing companies? Everybody's talking here about these vague things about what are you guys? What are your favorite 2 companies marketing wise?
It's hard to say. I mean, you talk about operational efficiency. Of course, you can never beat IKEA in being the logistic and delivery service all over the world. If you put that into the marketing section, then I would say that they are very skillful at that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I still say IKEA. Okay.
Yeah, but I actually think that Volvo has done something very specific. I was with Volvo in 2008 to 2010, but then after that they made a really good journey based on a human-centric approach, looking at how they can be different to Audi, to Mercedes, and to BMW, in order not to be that technique-focused but human-focused.
Okay.
And they've gone back to Sweden as a basis.
Good. And then Finns are authentic and niche, right? We're true, we're grit, we fight it the hard way. So does this authenticity thing fly? Stockholm is more LA than LA, and you travel the world and come up with great ideas, and you lead the trends and you catch the mass market. Will it ever fly for the Finns that we do this kind of nitty-gritty sisu thing with the little niches?
I think it will survive in the long run.
It will survive for sure, but will we ever be massively successful?
If you market it well, yes.
Okay, so the world is big enough of a place, fine.
But I think it's the consumer decides at the very end, and the consumer wants genuinity, and they really want to scrap the
What's
surface.
gin? No.
Genuine thing. They really want to scrap the surface and really see what's under, and if that is real, they buy into.
Okay, Finns. What do you think of this authenticity? Made out of genuine leather. I've never heard of the animal genuine. No?
To this, if you look, Petri, you've been in Helsinki 10 years ago, and Helsinki was more or less have anything here. And what do you have in Helsinki right now? You have quite a lot. And what did you have in Stockholm 10 years ago? It's just a little bit less than what you have now. So we're going forward faster, I believe.
Good. So it's going the right way. Good. Petteri?
I think everything's so transparent nowadays, so authenticity is one of the keys to succeed.
Yeah.
I think it's
Petteri, what do you have to say for the single one or two person micro companies in here? Like, what do you take out of this? It's easy to say that great brands are great, and great design comes from the soul, and we're going the right way. But people want to be successful. How would they go into branding and marketing wise?
I think small companies, it's important to combine this commercial know-how. People sort of combining the creative knowledge, creative content, and the sort of knowledge about business.
Okay, so hire a greedy person, or take it as in the founding team.
Yeah, somebody like you.
I'm not a greedy person. I've 2 bankruptcies.
Okay. I tried it anyway.
No, Pauli, everybody answer this question, because I think there are a lot of 1 or 2 per person. So if there's a micro company, 1 or 2 people, what do they make out of this thing that Sweden's great and Finland's catching up? How does it go into the practice of, how do they need to be branding and marketing wise different and learn from this attitude that we're talking about here? It's all about attitude, right? For when it goes to, it's not about process or management, it's about attitude when it's micro companies.
But I think they can learn a lot from being Scandinavian, from being Finnish and being Swedish. I think one of the speakers before talked about Swedes going out saying that they were Swedish. That is really opening a lot of doors, and I've talked about a lot of entrepreneurs who see the market as global. And being Scandinavian, being from the Nordic countries, opens a lot of doors and makes a lot of good business associations.
And I think those many young new companies that are successful, they are born globals. They are already not afraid of taking the big steps out and having an attitude, and so they are succeeding. But that goes for both Finland and Sweden.
Yeah, I see a lot of micro companies being established by international students who come to Finland and analyze the startup hub thing, and they don't have the problem of global. And then they just use the ecosystem and hire the programmers, and then they're great. Very much faster than maybe some of the Finns, the established micro companies. Pauli, what do you think?
I think I actually compared this in the video that we did before this to snowboarding in Finland. We don't have the mountains as they do in the Middle Europe. We don't have the mountains as you do in Sweden or as they do in Norway, but we still have super good professional snowboarders coming from Finland. It's because there's a trend of super good snowboarders coming from Finland. You have these companies, and you come as a new person to the company doing marketing, you see that, there's H&M, there's IKEA, we can do this. So I feel that the gaming industry is going to help us. The gaming industry is not that important. It employs, a couple of thousand people, and it's not that important for us as such as an industry, but it's very important for these 20, 25-year-olds growing there and seeing that we can do it globally right away.
Okay, Petteri, and then moving on.
Yeah, I think it quite often the sort of set of skills is pretty one-sided. If you have a tech startup company, there's usually these tech guys, but they probably would need some creative stuff in the corporation. And the other way around, I see excellent pitches of fashion brands which are talking about creative content, but they don't have the commercial know-how. So I think combining those things, I think that's a key.
I was listening to a panel with some of these very successful unicorn small companies, but they say it's very much thanks to our heritage that we have this technical and aesthetic combination, and that's how and human-centered. That's why we are successful in the world today. That's what they say themselves, 25-year-old guys in the huge unicorn companies.
Yeah, there are lots of studies looking into what kind of the founding team composition in small companies, and you see that you need somebody with business experience, and funnily enough, it's more important to have somebody who can manage, is very good at the customer interface, as opposed to marketing or entrepreneurial experience. So just being that engagement with the customer is a super important skill, and I thank you guys for sort of repeating that research finding out here. I wanted to ask you one question about the B2B. You know, a lot of companies are in the B2B. They're either behind, they're making consumer products, but they're behind very long value chains, or they're just making services or business services for B2B, and they need design, they need branding, they need marketing. Is there anything specifically that you guys think that B2B companies should learn from Sweden? Let's take Finns talking about Sweden and then Swedes talking about Finland.
We once got an award for B2B digital marketing, and first when I heard it I kind of laughed, because I don't believe in B2B marketing and I don't believe in digital marketing. I believe in marketing, and I think that B2B should understand that the only difference is with B2B is that you have a smaller audience than with B2C most of the time. But B2B, the people who buy are human beings, so that's what they need to think about.
Good.
Yeah, I think my message is pretty much the same. I think quite often the B2B companies are looking at the wrong end customer, wrong consumer. They are looking at the sort of people who are buying in the collections or something like that. They are not looking at the consumer in the end. So I think this is very important. Like it's like Pauli was saying, human to human rather than B2B.
Yeah, we all understand that, but how? Swedes, tell us how.
Well, I don't think there's any difference when it comes to B2C and B2B, because B2B communication, most companies have B2B communication in their relations in order to deliver the products to the consumer. So the communication and the basis need to be the same. So again, trustworthiness, being genuine, and really showing that you're the company to do business with.
But I disagree. B2B is about giving discounts or not giving discounts.
It is not. It's about long-term relation and really securing that you give out the same signals in B2C as you do in B2B.
Yeah, and stick with it, because they are going to tell you that it's about discounts, and then one has to be as persistent as you are.
I love you as a moderator. You're
Good,
hardcore,
good.
but I really agree and exactly agree with you. And there is blurring now between B and B2C, because they're all human beings in the end who are doing the buys anyway.
Yeah. So tell us something about leadership and management. You know, I brought in the kotipizza example. What did that make you think?
Well, I think when it comes to management, I think somebody talked about democrativity when it comes to Swedish brands, and I think it's really the part of the success of it, because in Sweden you can challenge your manager, you can go in and say you're wrong, and that's really astonishing when you come to an American person, and I think that's part of the success of Swedish small companies and bigger ones as well.
Being able to challenge your management. So there are lots of engineer and finance CEOs there, and people need to challenge them and be, you know, afraid of losing their jobs, not too much, huh?
The non-hierarchic is part of our success too, but it's also very hard to collaborate. Sometimes wish it would be like here, you say that you do this and everybody does it. That's also, you could long for that sometimes, but we should cherish our democracy.
About kotipizza, that you have marketing people there so much, it's that I have a lot of banker or sales director friends, and they kind of like their job because they get money for it, and they do many hours. And all the marketing people that I know, they like their job because they like their job, what they're doing. So it's, I don't know if passionate people go into marketing or if marketing gives out passionate people, but that's what I feel that it's what is helping kotipizza, as well as the knowledge of marketing.
Sure, so looking for the combination of power and passion, because I feel like a lot of passionate marketing people are without power. They don't have the money, they don't have the authority, they don't have the companies, they don't have the budgets. You know, they're just staff or sidekicks or, you know, nice guys.
Yeah, I think in my experience in the Finnish companies, I think the main challenge is the balance between the short-term sales and the long-term value creation. So I think it's quite often you're just looking at the very short-term wins, but your brand might be sort of hurting from that, and that affects on the price point on the long term and so on. So I think it's and I also trust on the vision also in the leadership, in the management. If we could calculate everything, we would need just one computer, but I think the vision is extremely important, that you also experienced executives have a good grip on the very important, tough issues.
and make sure that they do, and ask them and make them feel like fools if they don't, okay? Yeah, it's challenging from the marketing to... Okay, last question, everybody answer this. You have €1. Will you put it into sales, marketing, design or branding? Everybody.
Depending on the company.
You can only spend it on one thing. Quickly.
Okay. Which company?
Your company, whatever company.
Well, I don't have to spend it on design because I'm a designer. Let's say marketing.
Okay, marketing.
I say marketing because it includes all of those others.
Yeah, sure, okay. Smart.
I agree with that too, but as a director of design organization, I have to say design, don't I? Otherwise I'll get fired.
Yeah.
But I say branding because branding is the foundation for all the company, and it should be kind of the catalyst of all the communication in all parts, sales, marketing, and branding.
Great, I say sales. Thanks a lot.
Can I ask you one question before we end?
Yeah, sure. I think his taxi is leaving, but you go ahead.
You said
I've got all the
hedonic
time in the world.
I counted, you said hedonic 15 times when you spoke. What does it mean? We don't really know what your definition of hedonic.
It's emotional value added. Okay, thanks.